Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I'm working from the new Occasions catalog and I'm doing some Valentine's cards. And what I'm using is this stamp set, which is the other stamp set in that mega suite on the first couple of pages of the catalog. And from this one, all I'm really using is Happy Valentine's Day down here that I did in white embossing powder. And then the other things that I'm using are from this wonderful Be Mine framelit set that I used the other day. This time I'm using this pretty little rose, and I'm using these two stitched hearts. Everything's stitched, it's wonderful. And those are the 3 dies I'm using from this set. And let's see, I'm using this beautiful new lace dynamic impressions embossing folder. Isn't that just gorgeous? I think you can see that detail. Hard to know. Let me put it on a piece of dark paper and see if that helps. There, maybe that way you can see. I'll bring that up so you can see the detail on that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Just beautiful. You could do strips of this, you could do the whole thing, and I put my paper right between these two pieces here, and let me bring this up so you can see the detail on the embossing folder in the background. Then I'm continuing to use some of this wonderful Floral Romance Designer Series paper here. And in this case, I used some of the pink lace paper. Let's see if I can grab a piece of that. Well, here, this is the piece that I cut out for the card. And there you can see the beautiful lace detail on that vellum paper that's in this paper set. It's absolutely gorgeous stuff. So let me show you what we need to make this card. The only thing I did change up is this one I made on the fresh fig on the background, and then on the inside I cut out this heart so that you could put your message on the inside of the card, inside the heart. I thought that was kind of fun. So, so this time I did change it up, and I am using the Blackberry Bliss card paper here instead of the fresh fig. And I thought it might be interesting because this color is so much more vibrant that I wanted to try and make it up out of this. And I have to tell you, I like it a lot. Okay, so I'm going to push this down and get that ready to go. Then what we need is 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure 4 by 5 1/4. One for layering on the outside of the card and one for layering on the inside of the card. Then we need 2 pretty good sized pieces of scrap in whatever purple you use and whatever pink you use. And in this case, I used petal pink, yes. So this is a piece of petal pink and a piece of Blackberry Bliss that you need to cut out your hearts and your little flower and your sentiment and so on. And so, and then a piece of this Designer Series paper. Isn't that pretty on the pink? I used it on the white. And let's see, in the dies, the other die that I'm using from this is there's another die, and I'll show it to you here. I've started to cut out some of my pieces as I generally do. And this die is a stitched edge with a scalloped edge attached to it, and I've already started cutting my paper there. So let's just get started here. And what you're going to need to do is cut out your die pieces. And what I did was I took the 2 largest stitched heart dies here. Let me grab those for you. And I got them so that one is just inside the other, and I cut one set of these hearts. If you get them centered inside one another, and then just put a little bit of tape down here on this, and in fact I did it the other way because I like cutting this blade side up, so it's almost a little easier to see on this side. And you get this set up so that it's right centered there, and then I put a couple pieces of tape on it, one on the top and one on the bottom, and then I run that through my die cutting machine this way with the blades up. I find that it cuts a little bit better. And you want this configuration on both your dark purple and the pink, so that what you get out of your die cutting is this. So here is the set that I cut that is pink, the petal pink, and this is what it cuts out for you. It cuts out the frame and the inside heart, and I'll bring that up so you can see the detail on that with the stitched edging and then the scallops around the outside heart. Isn't that pretty? It's just very, very pretty. And so what I did was I used the outside edge on the card base here and then raised the pink up on dimensionals for here, and then I used this frame on the inside of the card for my decoration. So that leaves me with this wonderful large heart that I'm sure I can find something to do with. Okay, so that's the die cutting, with the exception of this. I did cut this page. This is 4 by 5 1/4 as well, and this die doesn't go from corner to corner. It's a little bit short for that. So what I did was I moved it down the page and cut on one side here, edge to edge, so that I got the scallop and the stitched detail. And so there you can see I've got my piece cut. Then I turned it around and I put this piece on the other side, and I got this other piece. So with one 5 by 4 1/4 inch piece of this designer series paper, you can get 2 cards. And you're just left with this little strip here that, I don't know, perhaps we could find something to do with it. Add a decoration on the inside of the card, perhaps. Okay, so there we go. That's all of the die pieces now. So then I ran one of my white pieces here, my Whisper white pieces, through the embossing folder. And here is my embossed piece. Now this is one side, and then this is the other, both of which are absolutely beautiful. That is the embossed side, and that is the debossed side. And I think either one of them would be great. I'm using this side for my card. So what I have done here, oh, and the other thing I did cut was that little rose. There it is. I cut the little rose out because I wanted to add it to the front of the heart to give some of the detail. So those are all of my die cut pieces here. Let me put this die back away before it disappears on me. What we're going to do is then we can attach this piece to the front of our card. And for that, I am using snail. And make sure I get it in all of the corners. And put that on the front of my card. And I did cut this card 11 by 5 1/2, or 11 by 4 1/4, and scored it at 5 1/2. So I've got a top folding card here. Now I'm just going to set this down so I've got an equal border all the way around, and I've got my embossing folder in place. The next piece I need to add is my vellum, and stitching shows up a little bit more easily on if I put this on the other side, because it is the opposite of this piece. So I can get my stitching so that it's there or there, and I think this detail is more what I had in mind. So we'll just switch this one around a little bit. The good thing about this that I found is that because this has pattern on it, you don't see the glue as I'm putting glue down on this piece here. And so you can feel free to put quite a bit of snail on this. I'm just putting it in patches here. And I line that up with the top, in this case, the top and the side edge of the card, and put that down in place on my card. Isn't that pretty? And then on this piece, I think, you know, I might like this configuration better. I'm going to set this piece down on the bottom, and maybe still over to this side a little bit, so that I can put my sentiment piece more up here. That way more of my pattern paper shows through. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I went ahead, and now you could use liquid glue for this if you'd like, or you could do this on the Sizzix double-sided paper so that you turn this into a sticker, but I think this will work for me. I'm going to lay this down flat on here. I've got so much pattern and dimension that we don't need a heck of a lot more. So there's my heart going into place. Then this piece would go in next, and it fits together a little bit like a puzzle, but I do want to put this piece up on dimensional so that we do get a little bit of a raised detail going on here. So I'm going to put actually quite a few dimensionals on this so that I get support for all the edges of my heart here. Okay, so now I can carefully place my heart so that it fits inside the scalloped heart frame here. And I think that is just very pretty. And I'm thinking, now then, this little piece here is this, I thought the heart looked kind of plain, and one of the stamps in this, in the other stamp set that goes with this suite, let me grab it here, is this one, and that's what gave me the idea of maybe putting this little heart, this little rose here in the corner of this heart to add a little extra decoration to it here. And should have used my dot runner on that. Okay, so in here, if I put this rose right along the edge, and you'll see there's a little rosebud to the bottom, and I found that it kind of curved around and fit in this little spot here if I put that little rose to the bottom. And the difference is very subtle between these two colors, but this Blackberry Bliss is a little bit more vibrant. So I'm going to, I'm really pleased with the way that has come out. So then I took a little piece of my Blackberry Bliss here, and I've mounted my stamp on here, and so I need my embossing buddy here, and I'm just going to do it right along the edge here, and this strip ends up being trimmed down to about a ½ an inch, and then just long enough to get the impression on here. Grab my Pierce mat and put this in place and get my Happy Valentines using a little bit of the grid paper and putting my sentiment down here in place. There we go. And then I've got some white embossing powder. I thought that might give some really nice contrast against the darker card. So I've got that here, and I need to, well, you know, I don't know that I need to. Let me just stick this end in here and see if I can get the coverage that I want. There. That worked out pretty well. Okay, so now I will quiet the video while I heat set that sentiment, and I'll be right back. And I'm so bad at straight. I'm going to set this at a ½ an inch and cut that piece off, and then just, it turns out that I'm going to trim this down to, it looks like 2 1/4 will give me about the same margin on both sides. So a ½ inch by 2 1/4, and there's my sentiment. Okay, so we are almost done with this card. Once you get your pieces cut out, it is pretty fast. So here we go, and I think I am going to put this up on mini dimensionals here and have this on the top of the card this time. I just have to decide exactly where I want this sentiment, and I think I do want it at the top and over to this side to balance this a little bit. But say right about there. And then on the inside of the card, I can go ahead and get my piece of Whisper White set down. Dimensional backs, they get into everything. Okay, so here we go. I'll set that in place. Just like that. There we go. And there we've got a nice inside of the card to write your little message in. And your message could go from outside to inside to outside, and I think it just makes it very festive and a little bit different. So that's what we've got. All right, now the final thing for a little additional bells and whistles, and I have some of these little hearts that I cut for my last project, and I still have some left over, so I suppose we could just dot some around the page here if we wanted to. But what I did do was put some rhinestones on my heart here. I put one of the medium-sized gems here on the inside of the rose, and then you'll see I started to put just a couple of rhinestones and got completely carried away, but in the end I kind of liked the way it looked. So I'm using some of the smaller rhinestones here and setting those around the edge of this part of the heart. I didn't go to the center of the heart, and I didn't go all the way to the bottom. And I thought it just added a little something there. to add those little gems on there. And if you're at all worried about those gems coming loose, you can put a little dot of Tombow down before you put those gems in place. And so there we have our project for the day. I think adding anything else to this would just make it look busy, so I'm not going to do that. So here is my card, thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And we are about to launch the new catalog in January. We start the New Occasions catalog with additional Stampin Rewards and the Celebration catalog to earn free items from, and all kinds of stuff going on. And the join offer, which is $175 worth of product for $99. It's a wonderful time to join. And if you join after the first of the year, not only do you get the special additional product, but your first full quarter isn't over until the end of March. So you have, no, it's not over until the end of June. So you really have quite a time before you have to have your first 6 months or your first 3-month minimum in there. Also, to let you know, this time I am doing a paper share, and the details are over on my blog, which is www.inkandingenuity.com. And these are the papers that'll be included in the paper share. All My Love, Classic Garage Floral Romance that we've been playing with for this last couple of days, Gingham Gala, Happiness Blooms, How Sweet It Is, and Needlepoint Nook. And it's a total of 80-some pieces of paper. All of these have 12 pieces, and then the gingham, since it's 5 papers, has 10. And if you email me, and I'll make sure my email address is down below as well, and you can also just register right on my website, and it's got all of the detail. If you let me know by January 6th that you'd like to participate, then I'll send PayPal invoices out at $25, which is the amount of the paper share, plus $6.95 for shipping, so a total of $31.95, and you have until January 10th to pay. Then on the 11th, I will order the paper, and as soon as I get it, label it, cut it, I'll have it back in the mail to you. So thanks so much for watching. And the prize draw for December is a $50 shopping spree on me out of the New Occasions catalog. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with more cards and more projects. Bye!